Did you know you can get free houses all day, every day? I'm talking zero out of pocket to where you can build a portfolio of houses for free. Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Graylan Stewart. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you very much. If you stick around long enough and you liked my content, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. I'd appreciate that as well. But today's video, I'm talking about $0 real estate. And I'm not talking about just wholesaling, even though my channel is primarily about wholesaling real estate. But as you know, if you've watched any of my videos, I also have buy and hold rentals for long-term wealth. And I also do some fix and flips, and we do novation deals, some creative financing things, and things like that. But our number one strategy in my business is to wholesale real estate. But today's video, I'm going to tell you how you can do $0 real estate as far as owning properties. So I'm talking about buying houses to add to your actual rental portfolio completely free, okay? Now there's a couple of ways that you could actually do this, okay? So the most common way is, you've heard me talk about this as well, is the BRRRR strategy, okay? So, but how do you do that for free? All right, so let's talk about that. So as wholesalers, obviously, we get properties at a huge discount, okay? And when you're wholesaling that property, you are reselling that contract for a higher price, so you can make a spread in between, okay? But because we do wholesale in real estate, we get great leads. Therefore, that allows us to cherry pick the deals. So, one of the biggest mistakes that most people make starting out, and I regret some of it myself, is not keeping the best deals, okay? It's really tempting when you have a huge assignment fee on the table to just take that giant fee, as opposed to keeping that property for yourself to create your own wealth, okay? Because at the end of the day, wholesalers are just creating more millionaires out there, but you're creating that wealth for somebody else, because you're actually passing that property on to a fix and flipper or to a professional landlord that actually has rental portfolios, okay? So we're at the end of the day, you're really, as a wholesaler, you're making other people more rich, okay? Even though wholesalers make a lot of money as well. So I'm not knocking wholesaling at all, because it is our main strategy, and it will continue to be our main strategy, because it is what actually funds a lot of our deals, okay? But that's another video, which I've done before already. So how do you get free real estate, okay? So we get these deals, cherry pick the deals, so we keep the best one. So here's an example. Let's say you have an ARV of a house of $200. What that means is after repair value is $200,000, okay? So let's just say in a perfect world, that house would sell on the retail market for $200,000. That's after you fix it up to today's current standards, okay? So that's what an ARV is, after repair value. So let's say the value of that house is $200,000. So obviously, as wholesalers, we get these at big discounts. So let's just say we got it for $90,000, because it might need $25K in repairs, okay? Just an example. So if we bought it for $90,000, we put $25,000 into it, obviously we're into the house for $115,000, okay? So where do you get the money to buy this for $90,000? So there's a couple of ways that you can do this. One way is you can get a relationship with a local bank, okay? Oftentimes local banks, not all of them, but some of them will give you loans based on the after repair value. And some of them will give you loans based on what you got the deal for. So you just got to shop around, and it depends. But I have a couple of banks actually, that will fund the entire thing for me. So if I have a property that potentially will be worth $200,000 one day, and I obviously bought it for $90,000, and I need $25K to fix it up, that's $115,000. Now the bank might be willing to actually loan me that entire $125,000, okay? Because they know that after I fix it up, especially after you have a track record, they know that after I fix it up, the property's worth $200,000, okay? So let me do the math on this, because they just know eventually you're going to refi out of that original loan for to refinance to get their money back. Sorry, I can't do two things at once. Let me get my calculator out. $200,000, right? times, some banks will give you 75% on the refi, some will give you 80. Mine will give me 80. So $200,000 times 80% is 160. So what does that mean? That means, the bank that I use, I have a couple of them that would actually give me the entire 125 that I need. Okay, so the house is going to be worth 200. Now I'm going to get a loan. Well, I bought the property for 90, but I'm going to get a loan for 115 because it takes 25 grand in rehab, right? So at the end of the day, after I finish that up, the bank's going to refinance me for 160, and that time during that 2-3 months it might take me to actually rehab the house, that actually in today's market could appreciate even more. So it might even be worth 205 or 210 by the time I actually refinance. But let's just say it's 200,000 and it's going to be 200,000 when I refinance. So they're going to give me 160 grand based on that 80%. 200,000 times 80% is 160. So they're going to give me 160 on the refinance loan. And now keep in mind my original loan was 125. So subtract 125. I'm actually going to make 35 grand, 100% tax-free, free money. So this is better than a free house, y'all. This is actually the bank paying me 35 grand to make me wealthier, if that makes sense. Okay, so stay with me. I've got a contract with the seller for 90,000. I have a relationship with a local bank that is willing to finance the full purchase and rehab as long as it's way below market value, right? So they're going to give me a loan for 125. I'm going to use that extra 25,000 that they gave me to remodel the property. Okay, so I'm zero out of pocket still. Now, after the property is remodeled, I'm going to get a renter in there to actually start paying rent. So once I have a renter in place, my bank is willing to do a refinance. Now, some banks want you to season the house. A seasoning period could be 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. Every bank is different. But my bank will refinance right away, even before I get a renter, okay? But I usually like to at least get the renter in place first, then I refinance, okay? So they're going to refinance me for 165. So that 160 from the original 125 loan is a $35,000 difference. So they're going to actually cut me a check for 35 grand. Now my loan's going to be 160, but that 35,000 is 100% tax free, okay? And why is it tax free? It's because it's part of my loan, okay? So it's a loan now, but I get 35 grand back in my pocket to do whatever I want to do with, right? That could fund your next deal or go on a vacation, invest it in something, right? Use it for marketing to get more deals, whatever the case. So if you follow me, I've got a $0 into the property from the get-go, and I've got $0 into it still today. Now keep in mind that property is worth $200,000, right? And my loan was for 160. So now my net worth on that property is $40,000, right? So now my net worth is $40,000 higher. I got $35,000 in my pocket tax free, and I got a free house that's going to pay me forever. Now every deal that I do, I like to make it a minimum of $300 per month cash flow. That means after all expenses, potential vacancies, taxes, insurance, everything, after anything that could go wrong, right? I like to make $300 after all of that. So if that's going to pay me $300 a month forever, why wouldn't you want to do that? It's completely free. It's free real estate, y'all. I got a free house, okay? So that's only one way you can do it. Another way you can get a free house is doing that same scenario, but with a private money lender rather than a local bank. The steps are the same, okay? I get a private money lender willing to give me a loan for $125,000. Now I might pay them 10% interest, annualized. So what that means is, I'll break it down for you. So if I got a loan for $125,000 on a private lender and I agree to pay 10% interest, you just multiply that by 10%. That's $12,500. Divide that over 12 months. My monthly payment to them would be $1,041. Now you can work out to where you have deferred payments. What that means is they get paid on the back end after you refinance, okay? So let's just say it takes me 3 months to make the whole rehab complete to get a renter in place. So my $1,041 per month, and it took me 3 months, I'm actually only going to end up paying $31.25 in interest on that property. Now, if you set it up correctly at the get-go with my private money lender, so I'm going to get a $125,000 loan, and I'm going to say I want deferred payments so that they'll get paid after I refinance. Okay, so they're going to get an extra $31.25 on top of their $125,000. So they're actually going to get a check from, at closing after a refinance for $128.25. So again, I have zero out of pocket on this entire deal. Only difference is I'm using a private money lender rather than a bank. Now I'm still going to refinance that with my local bank that I spoke about, because they're going to give me $160 for that. So out of that $160, $128 is going to my private money lender, and I'm going to get the difference. So in this scenario, I would get $31,875 back, right? And that's, again, tax-free because it's part of my loan, okay? Now, the third way that you're going to get a house for free is called seller financing. So what that means is we get our wholesale leads in, you talk to a seller, and they're like, yeah, I want this price, blah, blah, blah. You're like, okay, great. That price works for me as well. It's the $90,000 still. Let's just use that as the same example in this whole thing. Okay. So yes. So would you rather have that $90,000 all up front to where you're going to actually have to pay Uncle Sam a huge portion of that, because of the whole, the way our system works, you're going to pay taxes on that 90 grand. Or, if you've been renting this house all along, what's your favorite part about being a landlord? Well, obviously it's the cash flow, right? Yes, I love the cash flow. But what do you hate about being a landlord? Why are you selling it to me? Because I'm sick of it. They don't pay me half the time, or there's issues, toilets leaking, ceilings leaking, whatever it is. I'm getting calls all the time, and I'm sick of dealing with it. But I do love the cash flow if I could get rid of the headache, okay? So I'm like, well, we have a solution for you. We can do what we call seller finance. I'll still give you the $90,000, but we're going to do it over time. So let me pay you, make payments over time, and we'll even give you, 3.5% interest, just like a bank would offer me. So we'll give you 3.5% interest on top of that $90,000. So what I'm saying is you basically just negotiate the deal as them being the bank. So what we're doing is turning them into a bank, just transferring them from landlord to bank. You're upgrading them. That's how you can explain it. So Mr. Seller, we're just going to upgrade you from landlord to bank to where you get that consistent cash flow with no headaches suddenly, and you prevent getting that $90,000 lump sum to where Uncle Sam's probably going to take 30 of it or whatever. So it's the best of both worlds. You get your cash flow that you've always wanted without the huge headache, no headache, and no huge chunk to Uncle Sam, because you don't necessarily need the money anyways. You'd rather have the cash flow, right? So anyways, that's a third way you can actually get a free house. So hopefully that was beneficial, but you can do this. You don't have to have a lot of money to be in real estate. Obviously, wholesaling real estate is what I always suggest to start out. It's kind of like an entry-level deal to get into the game, but I still continue to do it, and I always will, because I love the cash ATM part of it. It helps me fund my other deals for the deals that aren't no money down. But you can absolutely do, get into actually rental properties for free, 100% free. I just gave you 3 ways. There's definitely other ways too. There's another way that you can take over the mortgage subject to the existing mortgage, which means a lot of times you can negotiate that for free. I've done that for free before. Some people want a little bit of money to walk away, $2, $3, $4, $5, maybe $10,000 just to walk away, and that's okay, because that's a super cheap house that you can take over someone's existing mortgage. You get deeded the property, the mortgage stays in their name. So there's actually a 4th way you can do it, because I have done that for free to where somebody was tired of it and they just wanted the bleeding to stop and just take over my mortgage, please. That's fine, so I can walk away. So there you go. There's different ways you can do this game. You don't have to be rich already. You can completely get into real estate, so there's no excuses for anyone to start a rental portfolio. You can do it absolutely for free. Okay? And if you're into wholesaling real estate, you can actually fund those deals on your own if you need to, because on occasion, every deal's not going to be for free, but it is possible. I've done it. So there you go. Hopefully that was beneficial. Hopefully you learned a little bit from that. If you stuck around this long, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe. I'll see you on the next video. Thanks a lot.